Good evening. Welcome members to our SACRE meeting tonight. This meeting is being held virtually. That would be live streamed via
Good evening.
Sorry? I'll start again. This meeting is being held virtually. That would be live streamed via E-Link Council's YouTube channel, which could be viewed by members of the public. Before we start the meeting, members, let me share a sad news with you. You may have heard already about Leslie Pryor's sad passing away. Leslie made a huge contribution to E-Link SACRE and was very helpful. Her contribution to education and learning has been invaluable. Leslie was the advisor to E-Link SACRE meetings. She will be greatly missed. She will be greatly missed. Jan McGuire has informed us about the condolence book that RE community has opened, and the link was provided for members to send photos or messages or to write messages for Leslie. Secondly, Baha'i Spiritual Assembly of Healing has also organized a memorial meeting on Sunday, 9th of June in the afternoon. Could you please attend if you can and make a note in your diaries? That will be on Sunday, the 9th of June in the afternoon. We pray for the peace of her soul. Can we now please have a minute silence in Leslie's memory? Thank you. Let us now start the meeting with agenda item 1. So apologies for absence. I've got apology from Councillor Julian Gallant, Aisha Raza, and Barkisha. Who else?
We also had another apology from Kasim Minhas as well.
Right. Any more?
And we had another apology from Laurie Greenglass as well.
All right. All right. Thank you. Urgent matters. I don't have any. None. Declaration of interest. No. None. Matters to be considered in private. I don't have any. None. Minutes. Sorry. Minutes of the last meeting held on 30th of January this year. Any concerns, any matters arising from minutes? Members?
Yes, Chair. I noticed the bottom of page 7 and the top of page 8, it refers to Brother Murphy. It should be Oliver Murphy. Shares slightly.
Right, yes.
It makes him sound like a priest, but or a monk or something.
Yeah,
Oliver Murphy.
So, sorry, Kosa, Baba Oliver is a brother as well. Oliver Murphy is our brother Murphy. Yeah.
Yes, but not with a capital B. I
Right.
I think it was meant to be Oliver Murphy, wasn't it? I
Should
think.
be, yes, yeah. Thank you very much,
yeah.
Councillor
Okay.
Ball. Thank
Right.
you. Anything else? Page 8, 9, 10. Approved?
Chair, Ms. Sharma wanted to say something.
Yeah. Hi, Chair.
I can't see anybody's hands up.
Yeah, all right. Okay. So I have another Hindu SACRE
Yes,
representative.
yes, Sharma. Yeah,
Yeah, another Hindu SACRE representative joining with me.
yeah.
He is Sachin Bansal. So yeah, I hope he would be joining soon. Then he would be able to introduce himself to the group. Yeah.
Sachin Bansal, yeah? Yeah,
He's just joined the meeting.
sorry,
Sorry, Chair, he's just joined the meeting. I just wanted
he
to
just joined the meeting. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Bansal,
Hello. Hi.
to the meeting. So you are also from the Hindu temple?
Yes, so brief introduction about myself. So Sachin Bansal, I represent the Hindu faith community and I'm a volunteer of Insight UK and Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh charities. And I've been resident of Ealing couple of years back, so 2007 till 2014. I'm also member of Hanslow SACRE and represent the Hindu community there, Hindu faith community. So that's a brief introduction about myself. I'm also parent governor in one of the schools in Hillingdon, actually. So those are some of the activities that I do.
So are you based in Ealing or in Hounslow?
I'm based in Hillingdon, actually, but I represent the Hindu community. So yeah, happy to join and participate into the Ealing Sacred community.
Let me take some information or view from Jan McGuire.
Mhm.
Jan, do you have any idea? Can you suggest us what needs to be done here?
Well, first of all, welcome. It's always lovely to have people coming in to observe a SACRE meeting, and
Yeah.
we welcome members of our community to join for the SACRE. So what we normally do is we say, join us to observe for the session. Sometimes we may invite you to join more than one sessions. And then, Councillor Dear, you have the decision to make whether or not you feel we have got representation from all of the different groups that you wish to attend from Ealing. So that's something you have time then to have conversations with Mr. Bansal outside of the meeting. But it's always really good to have as many people representing our community that we can have.
Right, thank you very much. Mr. Bansal, which temple you actually go and see people, Hindu people?
So I have a couple of temples close by. One in
What is your input in Hindu temples? I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
What is your role?
Okay, so I mean, as I mentioned, there are two charities I'm associated with, Insight UK and Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh. Both are the Hindu Voice in UK, so represent the Hindu Voice through that. And in terms of temples, I'm associated with the Hanslow, this Vishnu Narayan temple, Lakshmi temple. So that's a temple I'm closely associated with, where I'm also support them into various activities. And there is a temple in Yeding and Ealing temples where I used to visit, actually. So yeah, regular participant into those temples.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. If you could leave a telephone number, then I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, definitely.
If you could leave your message and the telephone number, please.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. You're most welcome to attend this meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. Right, let's move on to agenda item 2. Where's my paper? Then I would like to invite Jan. Oh, sorry, hold on. Yeah, item 6 is the determination of renewal application. Who is going to represent the?
In Morella's absence,
Is Corinne?
we've got
Is Corinne here?
Yes, we have Corinne here with us this evening.
All
So
right.
I'll hand over to Corinne, but I'll be here to answer any questions.
All right. I think Alison is here. Alison Reid from Dairy
Yeah.
Meadow.
I am.
Right.
Hello there.
Oh.
Good evening, Councillor.
Could you please give us your report? Yes.
So you'd like a summary? I don't know what information has been shared with you, Councillor. So I'm the head teacher of Dairy Meadow Primary.
Yeah.
We have had a determination for many years now. We are a school in Southall.
All right.
Are very religiously diverse. Our Christian proportion within the school is 13%, 13.
Yeah.
That has remained stable over the last 5 or 10 years. We are 40% Muslim, around 30% Sikh children, and we have felt for many years now that the need to have a broadly Christian act of worship doesn't reflect the needs and practices of our community. So we do things slightly differently. So Sue, who is also here,
Thank you. Yeah.
came to visit us, and she can give you some more information if you wish.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Alison Reid. Thank you very much for attending this meeting. And I've read the report. Yes, Sue has attended the visit, and she's visited to the school. Sue is please represent your report.
Thank you, Councillor. So as you'll see, my report is in the minutes, together with all the documents that Alison submitted on behalf of Dairy Meadow. I made a visit to the school to observe an act of collective worship. This was one of the whole school acts, which happens at the beginning of the week, where they introduce the weekly theme. And I also did some pupil voice, as I mentioned in my report, with children from the school. And where I can say that Dairy Meadow have a very well-planned and thorough programme of collective worship and reflection established in the school. The children spoke really warmly about the times when they gathered together and reflect. They talked about how it impacted their life, how it helps them make good choices, how it helps them to see things from a different perspective. They had a real sense of the importance of listening to people from other faiths, and how that builds tolerance and respect and British values. And the time of reflection that I observed was really well led. It was led by Alison, the head teacher. The children were clearly enjoying it. It was an established routine in the school, and they were reflecting on the themes that came up out of the story of the Good Samaritan, on not judging people at first appearances. Children really seemed to enjoy that aspect of the collective worship, and it was meaningful for them right the way through from year 1 all the way through to year 6. So I was very impressed with my visit to the school. I felt, as I said, that this is something that's really taken seriously by the school, that it's used actively to promote good children choices by the children, to have impact on the children, and that they're using it to build a really caring and respectful and tolerant community there. So I have no hesitation in recommending that the determination is granted. You can read the details in my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Right, members, do you have any questions, any concerns?
No concerns.
Any point to make?
No concerns.
No, we are very happy with the
Happy.
Sue's
With the-
observation. Yeah,
So do we grant the determination then?
indeed, agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
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 Thank you,
Agreed.
SACRE.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you very much.
I will take my leave now, but just to thank you for the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Item number 7 is a agreed syllabus. That is Jen McGuire to talk about. Jen.
Thank you, Councillor Dear. So every 5 years, the SACRE has a statutory responsibility to have a look at the curriculum, the religious education curriculum, which the community schools, voluntary aided schools will use within the local authority. And our time is now sort of approaching. In fact, we're probably a little bit late to start looking at it. So in Morella's absence, I've suggested that we have a look at what we would like to do as a SACRE going forward. So I'm just going to share my paper with you. This was kindly sent out by Nikisha, so hopefully you will also have it in your files. I hope you can see this okay. Okay, so this is the timeline that we will need to work to. We are a little bit late, but it doesn't really matter as long as we now put this into our SACRE minutes that we are going to be working on this in the next few meetings that we have together. So we did discuss it back in June. I did mention that your date was sort of looming. And then we're now sort of in a position where we've got to decide, well, what do we actually want to do? By September 2025, you should really be then launching your syllabus. Now, you have the option of keeping the same syllabus that you have, or it may be that you decide that you want to change it to reflect what's happening in the national community and the local community. So usually the next stage would be to do some scoping and some surveying of your schools in Ealing. So one of the quite a useful activity would be to survey every single school to find out how they feel the agreed syllabus document is going. Do they like it? Is there anything they want to improve? Is there anything they think isn't actually working that we need to change? Once we've got that information back, we can perhaps make a much better decision about how we proceed with the activity. So I think looking at your syllabus, and I do look at a lot of syllabi around the country on a regular basis because of my role as the Vice Chair of SACRE. So I do see a lot of different syllabi. What I would say is that your syllabus reflects the work which was done by Dr. Dave Francis, Dr. Denise Kirsch, down in the Devonshire area. And it's a pretty good syllabus. It's certainly based on a lot of academic work. What it doesn't do at the moment is to reflect the world views element, which has really come in since your syllabus was pushed through last time. So that's something we would probably need to look at with a slightly different focus. So how much are we really focusing on the census from 2021? Probably not that much. Do we need to be looking much more at that census data for Ealing and trying to work into our syllabus some exemplars which fit our local authority more specifically? We probably should do that. And it might be that we also reflect much more the non-religious aspects. So the questions around philosophy that the children might be asking if they're coming from backgrounds which are not from some of the more traditional religious backgrounds. So I think that's probably where we are, but we do need to start doing some work on this. And as a SACRE, you are the ones that will kick that off. So the first things that we probably need to do is to agree that we are going to be calling an agreed syllabus conference. So that would be the first thing you will need to agree. And the second thing you will need to do is to go to the council and request that some of the funding should be drawn down, which should have been coming into the council annually from government for this process. It's very difficult for me to recommend how much money you should request, because that will depend on the survey results that come through from the schools. If the schools feel that the syllabus is in pretty good shape and that we don't really need to do very much work, then it will still cost us about £5,000 to £10,000. If you're going to do a really big rewrite, then of course that will cost much more, between about £18,000 and £28,000. In my personal opinion, I don't think the latter is a necessity at this stage. I think your syllabus is in pretty good shape, but what we will need to do is to listen to the schools and to the teachers and head teachers to decide how we revise it. So that would be my recommendation at this point, Councillor Dear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. Thank you very much. Remember, this is the information Jan has given us to look into it. We need to review this syllabus, agreed syllabus. It's an information report for members, for us. There are two or three points which I've just jotted down. One, as Jan has mentioned, it's 5 years. Every 5 years we have to review agreed syllabus. And number two, Jan has said clearly about the funding. We need to make a decision. As Jan said, that we need to make a decision whether we need to keep the syllabus, same syllabus. I think that will be us to make a decision about the funding, which I'm focusing on. Funding for this review is already there. Means the responsibility lies, the responsibility for carrying out this review lies with the education department. That is a learning and partnership department under Julie Lewis. I think Julie Lewis will make a decision about it. The funding should be there. And they have to make a decision who will be carry out this review and who will be writing the agreed syllabus. If you want to explore a little bit more, members, please tell me what else do we need? What are your views about these issues?
Can I come on the conversation, Madam Mayor?
Who is it? Is Mr. Councillor Mahmood? Yeah, Councillor Mahmood.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. As we appreciate the work we have done in agreed syllabus and has been done mostly by under supervision of Dr. Francis, as you remember that from Devonshire, and we have got other consultant as well. We involved in that, and I think, like you said, I think the committee has done a pretty good job, and we have got a good feedback from different schools, especially the secondary schools. I think I completely agree with Jan's recommendation. The world views and couple of the points, we need to review that, we need to update that. and the rest of the agreed syllabus is very much acceptable and is still valid. It's still 2 years ago we have implemented that, 2 or 3 years if I am not wrong. So I'm agreed with Jan's recommendation in terms of the worldviews, modification, and some other areas we could amend that, and we could carry on the same syllabus with the modification. I think that's the best way forward. And the last thing, Madam Chair, is like you said, it's a good way to understand, to getting feedback from different school, and see and observe what they are thinking and what they are observing about that agreed syllabus. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Ball.
Yeah, so agreeing wholeheartedly with Councillor Mahmood, really. I mean, I think certainly Jan Maguire's point is well made, that the new syllabus needs to better reflect other worldviews. But I agree with Councillor Mahmood that doesn't necessarily mean rewriting, the whole thing starting from scratch. So, I think it may be a question of updating and including important new aspects rather than a comprehensive rewrite, which takes an enormous amount of time and effort.
Thank you. Is Nadine? Nadine?
Yes. Some years ago, we were involved in rewriting the syllabus, and what we did is that we had a task group that was doing that. So perhaps this is something that should be done this time as well, that we have a task group of different faith representation that actually dedicate their work and liaise with the teachers in the different schools and take that offline and then report back to SACRE.
Thank you. Any more?
Yes, I have a question, but I don't think you can see my
Marianne.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I like this idea of a survey around the schools to see what they feel works for them or what they feel needs changing. But I wonder how such a survey would be constructed. And of course, this is where we need Oliver because of all his professional background. But are there surveys already written like this that we can use?
Is there anything, Jan? Is there
Yes.
any survey?
Yes, Madam Chair, yes, there are a number of surveys actually that are already there that we can use. So we can refer to the surveys on the SACRE website, and also surveys which have been done quite recently. So for example, I've used one in Barnet local authority quite recently. They're quite standard questions. You can do them on any of the survey websites, so they're free for us to set up, and you can then send them to all of your schools. So that might be something that I could do with Makisha or with somebody else within the council. And then the results are automatically held on the website, and we'll then get like a little report about what's been said. So it's very easy to manage and it doesn't take very much time to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Jan, it means when you review agreed syllabus, just for my information, I think Nadine also raised that question. So whoever is carry out this review, would they be contacting all schools in the borough, or talking to teachers, head teachers, or probably RE teachers?
Chair.
Sorry.
Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, Chair. Like we are missing point here. Like Jan suggested, we are not producing a full the syllabus. We are just modifying that. So I think the area, Jen, you correct me if I'm wrong, the area we are trying to modify the amendment, then we need to involve the related people or related guidance or consultancy for that. Like, for example, you said worldviews is not very updated. So I think instead of just involving all the areas, if you will involve and do more work on the worldviews, it could be better and a smart way to modify and update our agreed syllabus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mohammed. Thank you. Thank you. Any other members to raise any question? Jan.
I suppose that what we would need to agree is that we will have somebody that will be commissioned to organise the survey and will know the questions to ask. So those questions will be based on, for example, the most recent Ofsted reports and the most recent documents coming forward from the REC around like the statements of religious education. So you need to commission someone to do that. So that would be something you would need to agree that as a SACRE, that would be where some of the finance would go. And then as a result of the results that came through from the surveys, you would then need to commission somebody then to then update that syllabus. And it should really be a fairly quick update, but it still takes time, doesn't it? As you all know, these things always take time to get it right. And then it would then go out, I would suggest, to a working party who would be prepared to do the proofreading and make sure that they were, as a community, that you were happy with that. If you get some questions that come back from the head teachers and the teachers in schools that say that they need, for example, better resources around the Baha'i faith or better resources around Islam, then that's when we might then want some working parties within the SACRE to help to produce some better resources to help the teachers. But until you've done your survey, you won't really know what you're going to need to do.
So thanks, Jan. But my question is, you're asking members who will be commissioned, who would commission. Don't you think it's a responsibility of Julie Lewis to make a decision?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, you can.
Yes,
as the chair of SACRE, you can ask Corinne to go to Julie, or you yourself can go directly to Julie Lewis, and you can ask her to make sure that the finance is there for this review. But you would really need to say how much you think that might be. So I think that's important. You might need to have a conversation, then do the survey, and then decide how much money you're going to be requesting. But I would certainly be discussing it already so that she is aware that this is coming up. I think that's important. And then, yes, you're right, she can commission who she wishes. So she can either commission the RE advisor, so that might be me, if that's who you wanted, or you can commission anyone else. So you could go back to your original person that did the original syllabus if you wished, and then they can update it.
Sorry, just to share.
Yes,
so I have spoken to Julie Lewis, so she is aware that this is coming and there needs to be finances allocated to it. I suppose we've been waiting for this meeting to kind of look at what the SACRE's viewpoint is about a revision or a rewrite, because obviously there's financial implications for both. I think I have had meetings with Jan outside of this to kind of start thinking about who we would be the right people to commission. So I suppose it's just kind of making sure if we're all in agreement that it is going to be a revision, but we start with the survey, then I would carry that forward to Julie and then speak to Jan outside this meeting about who we would commission for that.
All right. Great. Good move. Now, members, please help us to tell us, do you want to review agreed syllabus or revision to be done?
So could I just suggest that as I suggested before, Councillor Ball.
Councillor, let me ask other members also, please.
No, but Chair, I just, with
Yeah.
your permission, I just wanted to clarify what actually
Yeah.
People should understand that. As I mentioned, and Councillor Ball was with me, we are suggesting to not review, but modified. So what is the term called? A review and the particular part of the agreed syllabus. That's all I wanted to say.
Members agreed with the review? Marianne.
Thank you. I don't see how we know what we think we ought to do until we have heard how the schools have responded to the syllabus that exists now. We can't make any decisions about a review or a rewrite until we know how this syllabus has been received and is working. So I think we have to take this more slowly than making such a decision in haste.
Right.
Now.
Okay. So who would come back to us? Biddy.
Yeah, I agree with Marion that until the survey, the process that needs to follow is as described, i.e. get the survey, get the evaluation results from the survey, then decide whether it needs modification or full rewrite. Then you've got an idea of your monetary process of, what are you applying for in terms of funding? And then Corinne mentioned about the commissioning of it. Does that decision lie outside of this group, or does that decision of who we appoint come from a recommendation from within the group?
Jan, do you have any idea, or Corinne?
Well, actually, the SACRE does have a say. It is your statutory responsibility to ensure that the syllabus is reviewed or revised every 5 years. So if you have a particular feeling for what needs to be done, you can put that recommendation forward and you can say what you would like to happen. The finance side, of course, we have to go to the local authority and remind them that the money has been coming from the national funds for this piece of work. That money comes through annually, and really every year a small sum should be put aside ready for that 5-year review or rewrite that we have to be responsible for. So you are right, you have got a say. If you wish to recommend someone, then you may.
Thank you, Jan, for the clarity.
Thanks, Biddy. I've got Oriel now. Oriel?
Sorry, I'm just trying to make the camera work. Can you see me?
Yeah.
You can see me. Okay, great. Yeah, so just to say that I agree with Marion about sort of the way the process needs to work, but I think what Councillor Mahmood and Councillor Ball were proposing is very sensible as a sort of as potentially what we will end up doing. So I think we absolutely do need to go and consult with the schools. But if we know that that's the direction that we'll probably end up going with, then it just gives us a bit of a focus for the kind of questions that we're asking the schools.
All right. So it means it will take more time. Probably in the next meeting, we can come up with some suggestions from schools. I don't know who will take this responsibility. Corinne, do you have any idea?
Well, I think there's an item later on about meetings, because I think there's an additional one that may have been put in for July, which we wouldn't be able to turn this around by the beginning of July. So I can kind of go away and speak to Jan outside this meeting, because if the survey is where we want to start, and then we try to bring back the results of that in the next meeting, if we can get it turned around. But it's not long for the summer holidays to be coming for the primary and secondary schools. So the meeting will be a lot quicker than actual school weeks to get turned around. So what we can try to envisage to do, I don't know what you think, Jan.
Yes, I think you're very wise, Corinne, to suggest that it might take us a bit longer than July. But one thing that SACRE can do to get things started is it can vote to have some commissioned work. So, for example, you can say, right, well, we do want us to vote. We are going to say that we want some commissioned work and that we do want the survey to be started as soon as possible. So that's something you can do as a as a SACRE. That's then minuted, and then that has to be taken as the decision. You know, we will then get that work done.
Right. Members, can I take a vote now? We need to have survey done or not? Can I take a vote? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Can you put your hands up, please?
Yes.
How many are there?
Yes.
Hold on. We have to count. Markisha, can you count, please?
Yes, I'm counting now.
We got only 3, I think. 3, 4.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, the keeps on moving around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that about 12 that I can see?
12.
Majority anyway.
Yeah, 12. Yes. Thank you very much. So, thanks, Afra. Thanks. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you. So we got 12 members say yes, we need to have a survey. Is it enough, Jan? Yeah?
Yes, yes, because a few of your members here today can't vote. You know, I can't vote. Corinne
No,
can't.
I understand that. Yeah.
So I think you've got pretty much everyone, haven't you, that want to go through. So, you know, with everyone's blessing, then that's something that Corinne and I can get started. You know, that's something we can get started on fairly fast. And maybe when we come to the next meeting, we may have got further forward than
Right.
we hope. Yeah.
Okay. I've got Sue Larson now. Sue? Sue, are you there?
Yes.
Your hand is up.
Oh, sorry, I'll lower it.
Right, okay. That's
you.
fine. Yeah. So we agreed that survey needs to be done. And Corinne and Jan will start the work. Yes, Biddy?
Just to clarify then, do we minute that we will want to commission something, whether it's a review or a full? Do we minute that so that it's in the records as Jan suggested?
Right, yes, it will be minuted. Markisha?
Yes, can you confirm if it will be a review or a full rewrite?
We can't confirm that yet until
Not yet.
the survey results come through, but what we can say is that there will be a commission of some nature.
Yeah.
That's minuted.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Shall we move on, Jan? Yeah, thank you. Item 8 is CPD training and support to schools. As Jan.
In Morella's absence, I've been going in to do some training. So those are always face-to-face, by the way. So it's fantastic. So you get to see the teachers, they can ask questions, they bring their problems, they bring their curriculum. And it means I'm getting to know quite a lot of the teachers in Ealing, and they're all fantastic, by the way. They work so hard, and many of them come to each of the network sessions. So they use it as a way of getting to know some of the other teachers in the local area. And some of them are working together outside of the training sessions as well. So it's been really lovely experience. And I'll hope to continue to do that whilst Haringey asks me to. I've just got a bit of a summary to share with you. Usually this is something that Morella will bring in, but just so you're aware of the sessions that we've had. So the next one is due on the 13th of June, and that's going to be at the CPD Centre. So each session is very much led by the teachers in terms of the focus they want. So I did a session on Ofsted so that they could be Ofsted ready. And we're going to be having a session on resourcing because they've asked for more information about where to get some great resources and how to use them in their lessons. And I also try just to make sure they understand how to use the website for the the syllabus and so on, so that they get the best use of the syllabus. So that's what we're hoping to do. And in 2024, 2025, what will probably also happen once we know a little bit more about the syllabus and what we're going to be doing with that, what I would suggest is that we would probably add some sessions to that to make sure that they're aware of the changes. Those are quite important, because if they're leading on RE in their schools and Ofsted comes in, they would need to know what the changes were to their agreed syllabus. But normally I do one about being new to RE, because you often get new teachers in RE that are leading on it who've got no background in RE. And so the idea is I give them a very, very fast, intense training session to get them a bit up to speed so they know what they need to be aware of. But we also do training sessions on upskilling in areas of worldviews and religions as well. So anybody within the SACRE group that would like to be part of that and would like to offer their time, we would always welcome you to come to the network sessions, and I can always design something around what you would like to offer. So those will be planned soon, and I know that Corinne is very good at getting in touch with me, and we get those dates out to the teachers as soon as we can. But anyway, if anyone would like to join me from SACRE and come and speak to those teachers, they are absolutely lovely. They would really welcome your input. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Jen, one question from me. The CPD, you talked about CPD. We are, and my counselor colleagues, we are non-teaching members. We don't understand what it stands for. So could you please, in the future, if you can write the subject matter in full, then abbreviation can be in brackets, so we can understand the terminology. So what it stands for, CPD?
Do you know, I'm just thinking myself.
I was thinking curriculum.
Continuing professional
planning.
development.
Continuous professional development, Chair.
It is continuing professional development. Do you know, it's very bad, isn't it? We use these acronyms all the time, and you soon forget what they actually stand for. You're so right. I would try to make sure I put.
So, Biddy, say it again, please.
Continuing professional development.
Professional development, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Curriculum, professional development. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the information. Update on this training support in schools. Any questions, members? Anything you want to raise? No. Let's move on to item 9, national updates. I think, again, Jan McGuire. Jan.
Jan, you're on mute.
You muted yourself, Jan.
I have muted myself. So the most recent thing actually that I've been to, which I don't know if any of you zoomed in, but I've just been to the SACRE conference. So SACRE is the National Association of the Standing Advisory Councils for the UK. And so they're our umbrella group. They're the group that looks after all of the SACREs around the country. So it was a really interesting meeting. Did anybody else manage to zoom in? No one zoomed in. Well, I actually went. It was in York, so it was absolutely lovely with the big minster. So it felt just ideal for religious education. And we heard all kinds of fantastic things from all different SACREs around the country about how they try to do quite proactive things. A lot of them shared their best practice. And some of those things we already do at Ealing, but there are lots of things we can learn from, of course, when you meet different SACREs around the country. And some of them are very good at contacting schools regularly. And some of the SACREs hold special events, conferences. They get the children to come out to events, which we've also mentioned, haven't we, doing something like that maybe once a year in Ealing. Some of the SACREs have celebrations, they give awards, they run competitions. So these are things that we might want to consider as a SACRE. And one of the things that really had resonance for me was that some SACREs every single year will send letters to either the Department of Education or to Ofsted saying what they think they need from Ofsted or the Department of Education to help their SACREs run better. And I thought, oh, I don't know if we do that at Ealing because I'm relatively new. You may have done that in the past, but apparently it's very effective. And I think that might be something we could perhaps learn from. Anyway, I'm just going to put my little presentation up. I thought you might like to hear about the most recent thing. I hope I can do it for my slideshow. Lovely. Hopefully you can see that fine. Okay, so we've already mentioned the agreed syllabus, which is very, very important for us. But there are lots of things happening outside of Ealing. So my job today is really just to make sure you are aware of those. There was a bit of bad news recently about the subject knowledge enhancement, SKE, they're sometimes known as. The subject knowledge enhancement was some money that was put forward to support teachers of religious education. And sadly, that's been withdrawn. So that is something that some SACREs will be writing about, see if we can actually get that funding back. The funding helps to upskill teachers in religious education. So obviously that's quite important because if Ealing is given some funding to do that, we can put on some additional training. The other piece of news, which has been in the press a lot, so I'm sure you will have seen the fact that Ofsted has released 2 reports. One was from November 2023, which was very critical of religious education. It was basically saying that a lot of schools were not giving enough time to religious education. They didn't have trained religious education staff, and sometimes they didn't know what their legal obligations were to religious education. The second report came out in April 2024 and was much more around the subject. And the focus of that Ofsted report was around the stakeholders. So that's an interesting one for us because in SACREs we are considered to be stakeholders. The quote that I've chosen is the one that most of the newspapers ran with. And it said that in too many primary and secondary schools, the religious education that pupils receive is of a poor quality and not fit for purpose, leaving pupils ill-equipped for some of the complexities of contemporary society. So it was quite a damning quote for Ofsted to lead on. A summary of the April report, which really followed up from that quote, was that they felt that a lot of schools were really oversimplifying religious education. So this was my point about making sure that our syllabus was very clear about worldviews and the census from 2021 and those things which helps to build depth of learning. So that's something we might want to focus on. The second point that Ofsted raises was over lack of clarity, but that really wasn't really criticising teachers and it wasn't criticising schools. It was really criticising the lack of clarity coming from government over what should be happening with religious education. The third point that the Ofsted report picked up on was misconceptions. And I think that is something which we always have to build upon our understanding of what the real truths are and what the facts are within worldviews and religions, and try, if where we can, to squash any misconceptions which might have been built up within the media, within press, but also sometimes actually written into textbooks, I'm sorry to say. So yes, that's something we will certainly be working on. I work on misconceptions a lot with the teachers, and that's something as a community you can also help with. The fourth thing that Ofsted picked up on was the assessment gaps. So really that's something that we need as a SACRE to be reminding schools that there is a legal obligation for every single child to have a written report annually on religious education, which goes home to the parents, which will then give an indication of how well the child is doing. And fifthly, the report pointed out about the lack of development. So this is the lack of development for teaching staff, and that we know is a problem, not just in Ealing, but around the country, because the teachers at present, the ones who are going through their training programs at the moment, get between 3 and 5 hours only of training in religious education. And so if they're a primary school teacher, that isn't really at all adequate to help them provide good RE teaching in class. So what do we need to do now as a SACRE? Well, we certainly need to be proactive. One thing we can continue to do is to offer very good training to our teachers, but also training to our head teachers and our governors, so they're aware of the statutory obligations they have in terms of delivering religious education in school. The other thing we can do is to upskill teachers, and that's something which Ealing has had a very good record in offering very good RE teacher training. So really it's delivering more of the same and trying to get more teachers through the door so that they have the opportunity to grow their understanding. The other thing we can support as a SACRE is with curriculum design. So that, of course, is linked into the agreed syllabus document that we are responsible for every 5 years. But it's also making sure that we're supporting teachers with their curriculum design in school. So it's how we can provide opportunities for that in Ealing. The other thing we could do as a SACRE, we can send messages around to remind schools about time, because some schools are really dropping religious education off the timetable, and many of them are having maybe rotation rather than a regular weekly session of religious education. So that might be something we can do, because Ofsted is really focusing on this, and we don't want our schools to be penalised for this or for them to say they didn't know. And finally, there was a reminder about statutory responsibility in the Ofsted guidance. And I think that's something that we can pick up on as well, reminding head teachers and governors that it is a statutory responsibility that they provide high quality religious education. So as a SACRE, there are some things we can do. Okay, so moving on from Ofsted, just to remind all of you that if you would like to offer any help to schools, something you might like to do as a SACRE representative is to attend the training sessions offered by the RE hubs. And we've got a hub lead, our hub lead is Stacey Burnham in London. And if you want to be registered on the website, then she does regular training sessions. The last one I think we had pushed through was in November. So there will be some pushed through recently, I'm sure. And if you register yourself on the hub, you can then attend a training session, and you would then be a training, like a speaker, which is registered to go into schools to speak to children. I've mentioned the SACRE conference that has just happened, but there are some webinars which are offered free of charge. And I know that some of you are quite interested in knowing, well, what's happening around the country. David Hampshire, Dr. David Hampshire, every year he goes through all of the reviews that are submitted to the Department of Education, and then he feeds back in a webinar. So if anyone wants to go to that to find out what he found out in his trawl of the review, the reports that we've sent in this year, then there is a webinar on that. There is also a webinar by Deborah Weston, who's a fantastic data person. She is so clever with her data. And she's going to be giving a session about how we can use data in our SACREs. And there are other SACRE presentations which are going to be given by the SACRE West Hill winners from last year. So anyone who's interested in finding out about the applications that SACRE has put forward, maybe with the view to putting in for some funding ourselves from Ealing, then you might be interested in those. You find those webinars on the SACRE website. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Jan, for the updates. So members, have we got any questions? Anything to add? No, I think we are all happy with this. Right. Grace, Councillor Concha.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask, can you see me? Sorry, I just have to, there we go. I just wanted to, oh, please bear with me. That's right. I just wanted to ask, just because I know there was this Ofsted report, the one which was critical would have been generic, but where does it stand with those schools that are faith schools, especially say like Anglican schools? Would the criticism also apply to them? I say this because I have experience of children who have gone to faith schools, and they tend to be quite on point when it. So I would like to know, what was there any, you know, any mention of the faith schools? Not at all.
You're absolutely right, Councillor, that the criticism was really around the community schools in this report. So faith schools have their own form of Ofsted, if you like. So they have their own reports which come through to faith schools. And so this report was much more aimed at making sure that community schools have got much better religious education. So I think we know we have to take that message, and we do know that it's really hard in community schools for schools to find trained religious education teachers. It's a national problem, and it's certainly not just in Ealing. And I will say that the teachers I've met in Ealing are superb, by the way. You know, so although these comments are made about, you know, they are generic comments, we do have to also look at our individual schools and take the data on the schools we have in terms of their religious education, because it's really not fair to say it's all schools.
Thanks, Jan. I've got Sue Larson.
Yes, just to clarify on that Ofsted do not inspect religious education in faith schools. That is done by the diocese. So those comments from Ofsted do not refer to any faith school, whether it's Church of England, whether it's Catholic. So that is a separate inspection system.
Right. That's good to know that. Yeah. Thanks, Sue. Corin?
I think I just wanted to follow up in relation to what Jan's recommendations are, just in terms of the statutory requirements. High school head teachers and primary school head teachers have already had a briefing in relation to the expectations following the Ofsted report. And in terms of high schools, they are actually submitting their curriculum plans as we speak to confirm that RE is something that is being met on a statutory level across all our secondary high schools, and that includes the faith schools and the special schools. So we will be in a position to know, and we don't expect to be any concerns across the high schools at all.
Thanks, Colin. Thank you. Biddy, did you put your hand up?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I did. It was just to get some clarity on the assessment gaps. I may have missed it, but Jan, could you just refresh? What was it around the assessment gaps that was of a concern?
Thank you. It's a very good question. There were a number of statements made in the Ofsted report around lack of reporting, but also a lack of sort of sequential understanding that the children were having in terms of their learning, and also the capturing of that learning in the assessments. So I think Ofsted are basically asking us to be much more aware of continuity and making sure that those assessments are happening regularly through the child's learning all the way through, and that each year the parents will then get some understanding of how their child is doing in terms of their learning in a written report, which should be going home to the child. So at the moment, they're really saying there are a lot of gaps here. That sometimes the children are not being assessed regularly, but also sometimes in some year groups, it seems that some children are not being assessed. Now, again, this is a generic comment, and when Corinne's information comes back, we will have a much better picture of what's happening in Ealing. But it's a statement that we need to at least be aware of in SACRE, I think, and we should be making sure that our schools are also aware that that's something that Ofsted will be looking at if they are a community school.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Just to take that one step further, the information that's being gathered, will it be identifying the different strategies for checking learning? Because assessment is so broad, it can be informal and formative and summative. Will there be some differential or some type of scaffolding within the strategy from our schools in Ealing?
I think in terms of response to that is obviously Jan produces the SACRE report that you get. So that kind of deems in terms of what input is being put into the RE curriculum and what the outcomes are for schools across Ealing. I think we've done quite well in the last meeting. I think Jan shared the SACRE report. So I think that's how we measure the assessment of the RE curriculum, is actually by the GCSE outcomes for secondary school students.
So it's all summative in that sense then. Would that be correct? Or
in each individual school, it obviously they will have a mixture of different assessment styles, and that's very important to try to encourage that actually. And that might be something that we want to look at when we're looking at the local agreed syllabus. We can have a look at our syllabus and we can see, well, what are we actually saying about assessment? And that might be an area that we actually work on and put some exemplars in. The difficulty we have nowadays, of course, is that schools have a lot of autonomy in the ways that they are actually measuring a child's learning. Some schools might have a particular focus on summative, some of them might have a much broader way of assessing children in a sequential way. But the schools have quite a lot of autonomy. So I think what we would have to do is perhaps put some best examples in about the best sorts of assessment that you could use for RE, but we wouldn't be able to dictate as such the type of assessment that would be used, unless you wanted to change your syllabus and make it law, which you can do, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah. No, it's all recommendation anyway, and it's a plan. The sequential assessment needs to map the sequential learning plan for the learners, as well as the scheme of work, because no doubt there'll be a reason why things have been sequenced the way they have. Why is that assembly there, or why is that learning being put there? So, and that is what Ofsted will want to know, and what is the progress against that? So yes, I do agree with you, and I think you make a valid point there that when we review our agreed syllabus, we should make a point of reviewing, that aspect as well, to bring in that blended strategy, which then opens up the broadness for schools to use their autonomy, within the ranges. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Bidhi, for a great input. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. So we have noted the report. Discussed anything else, members? Shall we move on? Right. Next is number 10 agenda item, which is SACRE work plan. which is, I think, Corin is Mirella is not here.
Yeah, it's me, Corin.
Corin, yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of, like I said, on the agenda, it kind of says there's another meeting scheduled for July, but
Yeah.
the SACRE plan is only 3 meetings a year. Because
Yeah.
obviously in terms of the determinations for this year. So, you know, my recommendation would be that we don't have that meeting because we wouldn't be able to turn around the work or the actions between now and July for that meeting. And the way that the work is commissioned within Ealing, it is around 3 meetings a year, which is 1 each term. So what we shared was this year's plan, so that, you know, we're not sure where that 4th meeting was scheduled. And it's kind of, like we said, we've kind of put together also what we want to cover next year, because obviously there's some determinations that are due in October and February for some of our schools that need to apply for a determination that have come forward. So what we've got in front of you is what the plan will be. And also just to let all the SACRE members know, because Mirella will be leaving at the end of July. So we are in the Mirella, so she's your usual LA advisor. So I'm just stepping in.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so she will be leaving. So I've just been stepping in because she's on a long-term absence at the moment.
All right.
And the plan will be that we will be finding someone that will be the equivalent of Mirella to support these meetings. So that's just to kind of keep everybody aware of how we're moving forward for 24-25, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any questions around what we feel in terms of everybody's roles, what we feel like this agenda items are. And I know Jan's already had some input into this to make sure that she's happy in terms of her role in this. But obviously we've got quite a few determinations coming up next year.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Jan, anything you want to add?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do think that, Corin, you made some really excellent point there about we do need to be very, very aware of the meetings.
Yeah.
So Corin and Julie's responsibility is to make sure that they work out how many meetings that will be provided and will be paid for, if you like, annually. And so their contract states that there will be 3 meetings a year. So it's really hard we can't sort of just change it. Constitutionally, it needs to remain as 3 for now. But what you might want to do is to think very carefully about when you set your dates, so that you might want one that's quite late in the year, so that you can then spend time making sure that you've got things like determinations have gone through as late as possible. That might give everyone a little bit longer. I don't know how you would feel about that, Corin, but I'm thinking, you know, if we could push that date longer normally, but then you would perhaps not have this meeting now, for example, you might wait until later. But I think it might be very sensible to have a look at your dates and how you spread them out through the year. Maybe not necessarily do them around the counsellor's time, if that makes sense, but perhaps do them more around the academic term dates. And that way we can get the determinations in for the schools. But I don't know how that would work for all of you sitting as counsellors. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor, do you have any view about these meetings? I think, Jan, personally, I'm feeling it does make sense if Corin and Julie can discuss about these 3 meetings. And probably they can in touch with the democratic services. They arrange our meetings. So
I think the meeting dates.
Sorry, Corin?
I think these meeting dates have come from Democratic Services, the ones that have been put in for 24-25. Those so our administrator has got them from Democratic Services, the 8th of October, 18th of February. And that's why the summer still says to be confirmed, because they haven't planned past February next year at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much movement I mean, we can go back and say, can they be movement? But these dates have already been given to us by
Yeah,
democratic
yeah.
services. It's not they're not determined by us.
They won't make any changes this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So our academic year started from today. We had a meeting
Yeah.
last night. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we are at. Councillor Ball?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of going to say the same as you, maybe not quite as definitively, but I mean, it would changing any of the meetings for this year would need agreement by the whip. So it's
Yeah.
not necessarily totally impossible, but it's not an easy thing to change them once they're set.
No, yeah, that's right. It is difficult. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, right, SACRE plan.
Sorry, Chair, just before we go on,
Sorry.
just want to confirm that we don't have, according to the work plan for this year, there isn't a meeting scheduled for I think it's the 4th of July, but the agenda states the next meeting is in July, but we don't have that as part of the work plan. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that, because like Jan says, we have 3 meetings a year, 1 per term.
Yeah.
So we're not sure where that 4th of July, and I did query it with Makisha, before in advance.
Yeah, Corinne, I agree with you. I don't have any the future date. It was only July. But as we all heard this afternoon, the general elections been called for 4th of July. So
Okay.
I think we need to check this date again. We might not be available on that day, or we might be, we don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Makisha,
you did check, didn't you? Sorry, I think Makisha's on the line.
I did. I believe it's the 2nd of July, just to confirm that.
2nd of July.
Yes.
All right, not 4th. Then it will be possible for us to make it. I don't know, we will be quite busy.
But we probably, Chair, we will be busy, but probably we would be very happy as well. So I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
July would be
Yeah, we'll be happy to.
I know, but I think what I'm trying to say is the work
Yeah.
plan, there's only 3 meetings this academic year, and this is the 3rd meeting. So the work plan doesn't constitute for a 4th meeting this academic year from September to July. So,
Yeah.
for example, Jan's contract is for 3 meetings, and her 3 meetings are done today.
So your academic year starts from September till.
Yeah, so if you look at the 23-24
Yeah.
plan, there were
Yeah.
3 meetings scheduled: the 26th of September, the 30th of January, and today's meeting. There isn't a 2nd of July meeting that we've scheduled. So because all our contractual agreements are for 3 meetings per academic year. So we haven't planned for like Jan to contribute to a July meeting, or none of the determinations will be planned for coming in for the July meeting. And I did check.
Yeah, let me ask my colleagues. Yeah. John Ball? Councillor
Yeah, I
Ball?
mean, that's right. So the council works on municipal years. There's this, which change over in May rather than in September.
Yeah.
There is a bit of an oddity that, as I understand it, this meeting, although it's actually happening after annual council, it's really part of the last municipal year. So I think the proposal is to have, so this one is really a hangover from the last municipal year, and the proposal is to have 3 meetings in the new municipal years. It's just the difference between municipal years and academic years, I think, that's causing the confusion.
Yeah,
when we say 24, 25, we mean starting from a point in May.
Councillor Mahmood, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just suggest that by looking at the time at the moment and the Jan contract with 3 meeting or 4 meeting or 2 meeting, can we just leave it to that discussion to you and Julie Lewis and Corinne Gill, so they would sort it out themselves, Chair, and we are leaving up to you to talk to Julie Lewis about 2 meeting or 3 meeting or 4 meeting. I think that's beneficial for rest of the members as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Members, do you have any views? Let me ask other members also. Yeah. No. Right, Corin, I think you need to talk to Julie Lewis about Jan's commitment.
Yeah, I would clarify, and if I feedback that to Makisha, whether that meeting's needed in July, because like I said, the work plan that was shared this time last
Yeah.
year have that meeting in, but I will confirm with Julie, and if I share with Makisha, then she can let everybody know.
That would be great. Thank you. Makisha?
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same, because then I can feed back to Democratic Services and see if that next meeting is needed or
Yeah.
potentially. So that'll be great. As soon as you can clarify that, the sooner I can make that change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. So thank you very much. Have I missed out anything else? No, it is.
No, Chair, you haven't missed anything. You covered
Yeah.
very much in detail today.
Thank you very much for the attendance of this meeting. Thank you, all of you. So we'll wait for the next meeting, and Corin will let us know when the next meeting will be taking place. Yeah. Thank you very much.